Welcome back to Inside of Her C-Suite. I'm thrilled today to be going to a different type of C-Suite where she's coming inside of our C-Suite. I'm chatting to what many call, even Forbes I think call, Africa's most successful entrepreneur, Mo Abudu. Welcome to Inside of C-Suite.
Thank you, Timothy.
It's really wonderful to have you for a lot of reasons. But one of them is that, you know, you've been around the world, but your thing is people. Like you started in recruitment and you started like literally working, spotting talent, working with talent, and you love people.
I love people.
Right?
I love discovering talent no matter what it is that they do. Just find people that can be at their best, doing what they can do at their best.
And that comes through all of your work. But I want to go back. I mean, you know, as a baby, you're born in the UK, you moved to, back to sort of Nigeria, and I think it's the Ondo State?
Ondo State, my God, your research is, I went to live with my grandparents.
Yeah, your grandparents.
So I was being thrown from one end to the other deep end. A bit of a culture shock, but I think the greatest thing about being with your grandparents is that the amount of love that they give you. Well, my grandparents particularly just adored me. And I just found that there was no culture shock. I was basically in there. And I learned, there's a thing about learning a lot from older people. So my grandmother really just taught me everything that she knew, and I think it's partly made me the person that I am today. And I think going back into Nigeria at that age and being thrown into Ondo State, you know, I can live and survive anywhere. Anywhere.
Yeah, because right after that, you were dispatched sort of back to
England.
Back to England.
Yes.
But
yes.
that moment, that critical moment in your life, you feel like it sort of really helped shape you, probably.
It's absolutely shaped me. Being born in England, going back to Nigeria at 7, coming back to England at 11, 12, totally gave me, I think, the best of both worlds.
Wow.
So I have a great understanding of what it was like to have been brought up in England, and then having an opportunity to go to Nigeria and to Ondo to be brought up by my grandparents. So, you know, I'm a brand ambassador for Nigeria, and I also like to believe that having been brought up in England has given me the freedom and the ability to express myself the way that I've been able to. So it's
Sure.
having the best of both worlds.
Yeah, you've got honorary degrees and all kinds of stuff, and we're going to talk about some of that. But I want to stick with you as a human being. You know, one of the things I am intrigued about when it comes to Nigerians is the sort of proliferation of high IQ. I believe strongly Nigerians have some of the highest IQ in the world.
Possible.
I believe that, and I don't say that lightly. Indians, very similar. I don't know if it's the number of people you engage and the cultural, the strength. I mean, recently I saw that the Greeks have now apologized for stealing some of the Nigerian artwork. Do you feel a sense of extraordinary pride when you walk into, you're in the US, UK, do you feel like you're almost even superior?
You know, the thing, if I can just take that back to Ebony Life TV, we have a stamp that we put on everything that we make. And we say, made in Nigeria for the world.
Full stop. Boom.
For the world. And for me, it gives me great pride and great joy to say that I am a Nigerian woman, that I am an African woman, that I am a black woman, that I was born in England and raised in England and also partly raised in Nigeria. So I'm very proud of where I come from because I think we have some of the greatest people alive.
So what is it about media that you love?
My journey into media, I woke up at 40 and decided that I wanted to get into media, a talk show. And for me, it was a medium of having the capacity and the ability to be able to communicate about things that were important in our continent. Obviously, I'm a big, big fan of Oprah. I'm a big fan of Ellen DeGeneres. I'm a big fan of all these other talk shows that are coming from America and from the UK. But my challenge was that who is speaking to Nigerians, who is speaking to Africans about the situations in their lives that they need to understand? Where are the role models that we're introducing them to? Where are the celebrities we're introducing them to? Where are the ordinary people doing extraordinary things that we are saying meet them? And that was where the idea for Momemts with Mo came from. So pretty much it was about going into DSTV, MultiChoice, and having a conversation and saying, can we do something? Let's localize content. And now localizing content is pretty much a daily thing.
Sure.
But 10, 11 years ago, we were not thinking that much about localizing content.
Absolutely.
But now it's everywhere. It is the mainstay of all our businesses today, is to bring it home. Because we need content that we can relate to, that tells my journey, that tells your journey. And that's why I think Momemts with Mo has been extremely successful in being a platform to share stories about things that are happening in our world. I want to know about what's happening in the American world and the British world.
Sure.
But I want to know what's happening in my world.
Sure.
Who are my heroes?
Yeah. And this is a pioneering chapter of history. And you've been first at a lot of stuff on this continent. But being the first, do you feel the burden at times? Do you feel like when you go in the resistance because you're the first? Because people are like, they have bias, they don't know that, they don't know they have bias. They look at you like, what are you talking about? Tell us about some of those moments where you almost got angry and pissed off.
I say in life you meet two types of people. You're going to meet your dream makers and you're going to meet your dream killers. And I say, listen very carefully to what even your dream killers are saying to you. Because even in the critique or the feedback that a dream killer gives you is something that can help you get to the next level with regards to developing your business. But I find that there's one thing that if you're persistent enough and consistent enough and have that deep burning passion in your belly about that business or that idea that you want to birth, you're going to meet your dream makers that are going to help you make your dreams become a reality. And that's been the story of my life, in that I have big ideas, and sometimes I'm worrisome about, why am I having these big ideas? It's too big. But no matter what, you birth the idea.
Sure.
And that you find that if you consistently and persistently work your way through that idea on a day-by-day basis, you're going to meet your dream makers. People are going to pop into your life that you didn't even know before, that are going to help you make that dream become a reality. And I can say that for every single project I have done, from getting my first job back in Nigeria when I went back in 1992, working at ExxonMobil, and then setting up my HR consulting practice, the Protea Hotel, Moments with Mo, Ebony Life TV, the film projects, you just find that God just brings these people into your life.
I love that.
And then you are going to meet those along the way that are going to kill the dream. They're going to try to kill the dream.
They're going to try.
So it's about how strong are you as a person to resist them killing the dream, but what are you going to take away from what they have said that can even help you improve on making that dream become a reality?
Now, you make it sound easy, and you have this
It's not easy, believe me.
Yeah, so give me two things that you have done when you faced a killer, someone who's trying to bring down your dream. Just two things that you've seen that kind of works for you.
Okay, here I am. I want to start Moments with Mo. So I can't name any names. So there's a very influential, prominent person in Nigeria who I discussed this idea with, who said to me, great, sounds like a brilliant idea. Listen, I'm going to sponsor this idea. So this person says to me, a couple of months later, I have a new head of corporate strategy starting in my company. Please go in, have a meeting with her and sort everything out. So I go in and have a meeting with her, and she turns around and says, I'm sorry, but this doesn't quite fit our corporate strategy at the moment. I was gutted. You know, like when you think you have done, you are signed and sealed.
Everybody around you is excited.
I'm like, what am I going to do now? So I had to take a deep breath and say to myself, what next? And at that point, I said, nothing is going to deter me. So I called a good friend of mine called Mac Atase. And Mac runs a consultancy firm. And I said, Mac, I need to raise money. I've just been let down. What am I going to do? So he said, come in. We had a meeting. I went in and had a meeting with him. And he said, Mo, you're looking for too much money. Why don't you just break this down and try and do at least one season of Moments with Mo? If you can do one season, then the next season and the next season. But I have the right person for you to go and meet. So I said, who? He said, Mr. Shola Akinfemiwa, who was then the MD of Skybank. So I went in, I made a presentation, be my sponsor. He turned around and said, we don't want to sponsor, but we will partner with you. We will invest in your business. I had never met this man in my entire life. That was my dream maker for that particular project.
Wow.
He signed off there and then and said, listen, we want to invest in your business. We want to be a partner with you. They took an equity share in me setting up Ebony Life and in setting up Moments with Mo at the time.
And you've interviewed
so that was one instance from a dream killer to a dream maker. And it happens. I can give you so many instances.
I mean, I want to have a follow-up conversation with you because I want to talk more about it. But let's move to the fact that, you know, your foundation, for example. I just want to touch on that because the fact that you haven't forgotten where you come from and you do creative stuff with your work, you know, with the design sort of work. How do you fuse these elements between your sort of deep passion for making a difference with your creative side?
I think that it's all in there. So I sort of wake up every day and I have this to-do list, and I always divide my to-do list into various aspects. I've got my personal to-do list, I've got my Ebony Life to-do list, I've got my Vic Lawrence, which is my consulting firm to-do list, I've got my friends to-do list, I've got my children's to-do list, I've got my mom's to-do list, because you're totally sort of like focused on one particular thing. And I get very obsessive with the things that I do. But I also think obsession can be a plus, but it can be a minus. Because when I get obsessed with something, it's like I'm not letting go of this thing until this thing is done. So you totally find yourself totally engrossed in trying to achieve that particular thing. Did I answer your question?
Completely. And you know, it's interesting because what I love about your work is particularly as we focus in on this film, the wedding. This is not the first sort of Pan-African film.
It's our second film. The first one was 50.
Yeah, oh wow.
Yes.
And I feel like that, you know, I can't imagine for you, but I'm imagining that right now, this moment, this is going to reshape how people think about filmmaking in Africa. Do you feel that way?
I think that what we've done with filmmaking is to say that we need to start telling our stories, and we need to create stories that the world is going to respect and the world is going to understand.
Yes.
And we have to remember that we shouldn't always be speaking to ourselves. We need to be addressing a global audience. So, for example, the wedding party, it's a story about a Nigerian wedding. And each time I say the wedding party to no matter who it is all over the world, they're like, oh, wow, I want to see that. Because a wedding is something that it's a universal factor. It's a universal event that happens all over the world. But they may not understand the nuances and what happens at a Nigerian wedding. The average Nigerian wedding is going to have 1,000 people attend it. You're going to have your relatives from the village, no matter how tush you think you are. They're going to turn up. What are you going to do with them? What are you going to feed them? You know, you're going to have the event planner who thinks that she owns the day. You're going to have the parents who believe it is their day. And you, the bride and the groom, are just basically there, you know. So it's really dealing with all of those aspects. But it's a romantic comedy, and, you know, we're hoping that there will be distribution in South Africa also, so that people can just go out and have fun and really see what a typical Nigerian wedding could be like. We've put all the elements in there totally.
We're looking forward to following your work. And again, I told you I'm going to catch up. I'm going to chase you down.
Yes,
I'm going to find you.
Timothy.
Just tell us quickly your sort of central site where people can find out more about you, your work, and, you know, the general.
Our work generally, I would say www.ebonylifetv.com. We're always auditioning, always looking for talent. I think one thing we've done with Ebony Life TV is to say we're out there to discover new talent. So we're saying we're the channel that makes stars, and now it's about making them even shine brighter.
Wow.
So our entire channel, basically, it's really just giving the youth an opportunity to shine, to give them a voice, and to be heard, and to do the things that they love doing most.
Thank you for joining us on InsideherC-Suite.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining another episode of InsideherC-Suite. We try to chat to fabulous women across the continent. We'll see you next week.